Hello, and welcome to this series of webinar recordings. This is content that is directed specifically for the vocational rehabilitation agencies interested in learning more about our programs, but the same content could really be quite helpful for people that are prospective members with disabilities looking at national service and what it offers, and all of the allies and supporters of the disability community that are looking further into national service and its benefits. So I welcome all of these populations to listen in and look at these webinar recordings. All right, with that, I'm going to share with you what we can expect from this particular webinar. So there will be a couple of different topics. The first will be an overview of our national service programs, then the benefits of participating in national service, then answers to key questions prospective members with disabilities have about our programs, and lastly, instructions for finding opportunities and applying to our programs. So what is the Corporation for National and Community Service? We call this CNCS. CNCS is an independent federal agency with the responsibility to engage Americans in service at nonprofits, schools, public agencies, community, and faith-based groups through AmeriCorps and Senior Corps. Today, we're going to be focusing purely on our AmeriCorps programs. AmeriCorps is a network of service programs, and AmeriCorps service members serve in thousands of not-for-profit organizations through 3 programs within AmeriCorps. So what are our national service offerings through these 3 programs? We'll go ahead and look first at AmeriCorps State and National. Organizations receiving AmeriCorps State and National grants engage more than 65,000 men and women in intensive service each year at more than 15,000 locations, including nonprofits, schools, public agencies, community, and faith-based groups across the country. AmeriCorps State and National members help communities tackle pressing problems by mobilizing millions of volunteers or organizations they serve. Service projects in AmeriCorps State and National focus on one of 6 different focus areas, and these focus areas include disaster services, economic opportunity, education, environmental stewardship, healthy futures, and veterans and military families. So projects range across these 6 focus areas, include activities like teaching kids how to read, cleaning riverbeds, and educating people about the Earned Income Tax Credit. And AmeriCorps State and National grants are open to U.S. citizens, nationals, lawful permanent resident aliens, and those age 17 and older. So members may serve in a full-time or a part-time program through AmeriCorps State and National, and these projects do not exceed more than 12 months in length, although there is variation in the length of these programs. Full-time AmeriCorps State and National members receive a living allowance, health care, and child care if they qualify, and all AmeriCorps members can earn a Siegel Education Award at the close of a successful service term. So we'll look at the second program, AmeriCorps Vista now. AmeriCorps Vista members live and serve in some of our nation's poorest urban and rural areas. With passion and commitment and hard work, 8,000 Vista members create or expand programs that bring communities out of poverty. It's a poverty-based program. So each Vista member makes a 1-year full-time commitment to serve in a specific project at a nonprofit organization or public agency. In return for their service, AmeriCorps Vista members receive the living allowance and limited health benefit options during their service. And they also have the option of receiving the AmeriCorps State and National Siegel Education Award at the close of their service term. About 8,000 AmeriCorps Vistas are placed and serve for a year in more than 1,200 projects in low-income communities across the country. And AmeriCorps Vista members generally do not provide direct services, but instead they're focusing far more on projects that will create a certain impact for that organization after they leave the organization. So some of the kinds of projects that AmeriCorps Vista members, just an example or a taste of what they are looking at as they serve, include projects that are focused on creating an adult literacy campaign, or setting up transitional housing for those that are helping homeless turn their lives around, expanding programs to help low-income families obtain affordable health insurance, recruiting members for, recruiting mentors for children with incarcerated parents, and organizing shelter and job opportunities for victims of disasters. And in each case, you can see that these are kind of capacity building versus direct services sorts of projects, and that the kind of impact for the organization that is hosting the Vista is going to be kind of raised, and ultimately that kind of impact will stay with that organization after the service term has ended and the Vista member has left. So you can look further at some of the AmeriCorps Vista program and the options on our National Service website, which is nationalservice.org/Vista, or by visiting the Vista campus at vistacampus.gov. So we'll go ahead and go to our next program, which is the AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, or NCCC. So the AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, or NCCC, is a full-time, team-based residential program for men and women ages 18 to 24 in age. So AmeriCorps NCCC members are are assigned to one of 4 regional campuses and serve on teams of approximately 10 members, and they complete 2 to 3 month projects responding to local community needs across the country. So they travel and live together in these groups of service members, and serve in communities and then travel to another location. So examples of some of the service projects that they may work on could include, but that they have wide variation. They could lead youth development activities. They could construct or rehabilitate low-income housing. They could clean up streams, or help communities develop emergency plans, and address other pressing local needs that may be articulated at the time. So basically, there's a variety of things that they could be working on. They could be filling and installing stream beds. I'm just going to pause here. Educating people on sustainability, constructing or repairing hiking trails, distributing donated food, removing exotic vegetation, making facilities accessible to people with disabilities, directly assisting the veterans community, constructing and rehabilitating low-income housing. So we will now move on and look at the AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, FEMA Corps. And this is part of the NCCC service track for young men and women who want to gain professional skills and experience in emergency management while serving with FEMA staff on disaster response and recovery efforts. It's also a 10-month full-time team-based residential service program that was developed specifically with the FEMA agency and the Corporation for National and Community Service. And members are assisting individuals who are impacted by natural disasters and the response related. So members will focus solely on emergency management and disaster recovery issues in a long-term recovery setting, as FEMA does. And so some of the examples of the things that FEMA Corps members may focus on in their service include educating communities, developing materials that will promote disaster preparedness, ordering materials, tracking inventory, loading supplies, managing information technology equipment, updating electronic files, managing data, working with nonprofits to coordinate services for impacted communities, helping survivors complete applications for disaster assistance, reporting damage to public facilities, and setting up shelter operations.